Good day, everyone. I am Miss Carla Joyce B. Navarrete, an MBE student from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. In this video, I will be talking about planning for instruction, importance of planning. Before I discuss to you the topic given to me, let me give you an overview of it. So let us define first planning. Planning has been a part of the teaching and learning process. In every activity that is happening that involves teaching and learning, planning is a vital part of it. From the school activities down to the classroom activities, there is planning. So what do we mean by planning? Planning is defined as thinking ahead. It is thinking ahead of activities to be done to achieve the targeted goals. And no matter what goals you have on your hands, especially when you are in the teaching and learning process, planning would be helpful in achieving these set goals. In this topic that has been assigned to me, planning for instruction, importance of planning, I will be answering this question, why? Why planning is important in instruction? So, I will be sharing to you concepts and studies that will prove the importance of planning in instruction. A quick background before I share to you the importance of planning in instruction. Let me share to you something about instructional planning. So, according to researchers, through instructional planning, a teacher is able to visualize the what, the when, and then the how of the teaching and learning process. It is not only being done by the teacher. It comes in different forms, which could be a course plan, a unit plan, or a lesson plan. So as a teacher, we are mostly exposed in doing the lesson plan. Okay, so let me describe this to you first, these forms of lesson plan, before I give you the examples. A course plan indicates the goals, the topics, the procedures, and then activities, which is related to a particular course. A unit plan, on the other hand, indicates the standards, the skills, and outcomes. And it shows multiple lessons which are connected with one another to achieve the learning outcomes. While a lesson plan indicates the sequence of activities within a subject period. So it's usually a daily lesson plan. So now let me give you some examples for us to better understand the difference of these forms of plan. This one that I'm showing to you is a screenshot from the teacher's guide in commercial cooking, page 8. So it is an example of course plan. So I'm showing you a course plan, to be specific. This is a plan for exploratory course in commercial cooking for grade 7 and grade 8. So as you could see here, it indicates the part of the lesson and then the task of the teacher and then the student. Okay? Aside from that, this course plan, it also shows the following details. You can also find there the content standard, the performance standards, the goals or the competencies, the outcomes, and the project and activities, and then the assessment, which are suggested to be implemented to attain this outcome. So remember, this is just a screenshot. So this is just a part of that guide. Okay? It also indicated the duration, so how long this topic should be taught. So this is an example of, once again, a course plan. A course plan in the exploratory course in commercial cooking. Another plan that I have here is a unit plan. Okay, so it is a screenshot from the curriculum guide in commercial cooking. So it is different from the teacher's guide because, as you could see, it only indicated the following: the standards, the content or the topic, and then the learning competencies. So once again, this is just a screenshot. So we could you are not seeing the full document, but as reflected here, we have multiple topics under the commercial cooking. Okay, so let me just share to you that in grade 7, one area of TL is considered to be one unit. Okay, so like for example, this one, it is cookery exploratory course, which is also the unit that we are being that is being taught to the students, and that is consisted of multiple topics. So which is directed towards the outcome, that is the attainment of the basic concepts under the cookery exploratory course. Then this one that I'm showing to you is an example of lesson plan. So we have different format of lesson plan according to the whatever given by our school. It could be semi-detailed, detailed. Ayan. So what I'm showing to you is an example of semi-detailed. But whatever the format of the lesson plan is, it reflects the objectives, the subject matter, the teaching strategies, the generalization, the evaluation, and the agreement part. So that is what composed a lesson plan. Okay, so a lesson plan is used for a specific period of time for a specific subject. Okay, for example, for 1 hour. However, now that we are observing, let me just again share to you that we are observing distance learning. We are not using the lesson plan. We are now using the weekly home learning plan. So it's a bit different from the lesson plan. It is simplified, wherein we just provide the day and time, the section, the learning competency for that week, then the learning tasks by the students, and then the mode of delivery, whether it is online distance learning or modular distance learning. So this is how a weekly home learning plan looks like. So those are the different forms of instructional plans. Okay, so it is being used at different levels, and as teachers, we use commonly the lesson plan. Okay, so what is the meaning or what is the definition of instructional planning? Instructional planning is defined as the process where a teacher can organize pedagogical scenario. Another definition is it is the practice of creating instructional experiences. So try to look back on the meaning of the word planning. I have shared to you a while ago. It said that it is about thinking ahead. So as a teacher, we think ahead of the activities that must take place in our class to successfully achieve the goal of our instruction. Okay, so that is what we mean by instructional planning. We think ahead of the pedagogical scenarios. We think ahead of the instructional experiences. And by thinking ahead of those things, we can logically organize those things so that it would be sequential in a way that it will help us to achieve the goals of our instruction. And when we think ahead of those pedagogical scenarios, instructional experiences, we are being guided by some theories or models. So according to Curry 2018, as teachers, we are being guided by different instructional design models. And nowadays, there are a lot of accepted instructional design models, and one of those is the ASSURE. So ASSURE is an acronym for the processes of this ASSURE instructional model, wherein A stands for analyzing the learner characteristics, S is for stating the objectives, S for selecting or designing materials, U for utilizing the materials, R for requiring learner response, and E for evaluation. And even though we are not being aware of that we are following or we are being guided by this instructional design model, we are doing this while we are doing the lesson plan. Another or other instructional design models that which are widely accepted are the ADDIE, Model of Instructional Design. We also have the Dick and Curry Design Model. We also have the UBD, the Stages of Backward Design. This was used way back 2010, 2011 before K-12 was implemented. And we also have the TPAC, the Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge. So these are just some of the widely accepted instructional design models. And as teachers, we should be guided by these design models to achieve our instructional goals. So that is a quick background about instructional planning. But then again, my report will be answering this. Why? Why instructional planning is important. So let me share to you the importance of planning in instruction. Generally speaking, the importance of instructional planning include this. Through instructional planning, there is a definite plan of action by the teacher. Okay? Definite plan of action. You already know what you are going to do because you have already thought of the pedagogical scenarios as we have mentioned a while ago. You already know what might be the possible questions. So you already plan what might be the possible answer to the questions. You have already planned or you have already thought what are the possible behavior of the students or possible responses of the students. So you have already you already know how are you going to deal with those behaviors of the kids or how are you going to handle them. So that is the general importance of instructional planning. There will be a definite plan of action. So the teacher will already know what to do. Okay? So based on everything that I have mentioned, it clearly says that planning cannot be omitted in the teaching and learning process. And this time, I will be showing you or I'll be sharing to you the evidences that planning is important in instruction. Number one is that instructional planning provides organization. It makes everything fall in its proper place. That is what we mean by that. Why? According to the research of Ball et al. In 2007, they found out that when a teacher plans, he or she spends more time in thinking rather than in writing. Okay, so it's more of spending time thinking what he or she should do in the class rather than in actually writing it. And another is that when a teacher plans, he or she internalize the content and plan how it will be connected to the students. So this is based on the research of Ball et al. So through planning, therefore, relevant content can be pointed out and organized. Because we have already, for example, this is the material. So we will be internalizing it. Which part of it is relevant to the students? Which part of it should be focused or given a lot of, or allotted more time on it? So number two, smart objectives will be set. Okay, so we can already plan ano ba talaga yung gusto natin mangyari dun sa bata. Then, from there, once you already know what is your objective, what is the relevant content that you will be teaching them, you can now organize the learning experiences. You can, what are the integration that you will be doing? Will you integrate playing? Will you integrate collaborative activities there? So because of instructional planning, there will be organization. Second importance of instructional planning is that it provides quality instruction. Okay, so it provides quality instruction. Since you have already planned everything that you will be doing in your class, it will contribute to the attainment of having quality instruction. I know for sure that you know how it feels when you enter a class that you know or you are confident in yourself that you have prepared well than entering a class that you are not so prepared. You know for yourself kung ano yung klase ng instruction na ibinibigay mo kapag planado at saka hindi planado. Okay? So, what is the supporting concept of that? According to an article in the study.com entitled Instructional Planning, Quality Materials and Strategies, it mentioned that quality instructional materials is needed for effective instruction. And materials and strategies should be aligned for quality instruction. And you can only achieve this quality instruction if you plan. If you would look back on the Assure instructional design model, there is a part of there wherein part of the process is for you to select the materials. Diba? So when you plan, you will be able to carefully select the material, and that proper selection of material will contribute to quality instruction. So therefore, through planning, suitable strategy will be selected. Okay? Will you use the discussion type? Will you use the audio-visual strategy? Will you have group activity? So you will only be able to answer that, or you will only be able to select the suitable strategy if you plan. Another importance of planning in instruction is that it utilizes wisely and saves time. If you are religiously doing the lesson plan, you would really observe that when we do the lesson plan, we give 5 minutes to, like for example, we give 5 minutes to written activities, we allot 5 minutes for motivation, and we spend more time or we allot more time on the presentation part or the discussion part, and then another time for the activities or evaluation. So through instructional planning, we'll be able to properly allot those time, the time that we have within a given period of time. Okay? So according to research in the article of Jones 2018, she stated that a teacher will be able to deliver the lesson within a given time frame through planning. Let us all be honest, there are really some people that we know, teachers, that when they do not plan, what they do in the class is they ask the students to clean their room, or di kaya naman they would make sermon. So the time is not being used wisely, diba? Without proper planning, ganun yung nangyayari. Instead of being there, yes, there would be some values that would be integrated in cleaning, yan, diba? But there are also it's also important that we follow the time frame for the subject matter given to us. Ayan. So through planning, therefore, time allotment for each learning activity will be observed. Diba? Hindi siya nagiging free time lang. Okay? So, etong time na to, itong 20 minutes natin is discussion, the 20 minutes will be given to evaluation. Ayan. Then, also, through planning, saved time can be used to give assistance to students who are having difficulties. Kasi if we have properly planned our instruction and we have properly selected the activities, we have properly selected the instructional experiences, and that contribute to the fast attainment of the instructional goals. Therefore, you can use the remaining time for remediation or for more activities that would help to master the skill that is required from the students. Another importance of planning and instruction is that it provides direction. So let us be honest, diba? When we enter a class na talagang napaghandaan natin, napagplanuhan natin, we are so confident. That's why everything that we say, everything that we do, it goes in one direction. Unlike when we enter a class that we are not so prepared, ayan, sometimes even what we say do not jive with what we are trying to say, something like that. So if we plan carefully, we will have a definite direction to our instructional activities and even what we are saying to our students. And according to what I have researched, according to Jones 2018, she mentioned in her article that teacher will have a sense of control and direction while teaching if there is instructional planning. Okay? Because you have already, sabi nga natin, you have already thought ahead what are the activities which will happen. So you are the one who controls the whole time, diba? The class. You are the ones who's giving the direction. Okay? And because of that, through planning, the teacher can provide the needed guidance by the students since you are the one who controls it. You are the one who controls the instructions, the instruction which is happening in the class. You are the director. So if there are some students who are being confused on what is happening during the instructional time, so being the teacher who have already planned what is going to happen, you can guide your students. Another importance of planning and instruction is that it improves your classroom management. And I agree on this one. Personally, when I really plan a lesson, the students are more participative, they are more manageable, so things like that. And according to the citation, ayan, in the article in Planbook's website, which is entitled Keep Organized, How an Effective Lesson Plan Improves Classroom Management, it stated there that teacher includes the way on how to keep the students interested when planning the lesson. And that is very true, diba? When we make the lesson plan, it is not just about on how you impart the knowledge to the students. You also anticipate how this student would react, diba? How these students would respond. And because of that, you can already devise some plans paano mo makukuha yung kiliti ng mga bata, diba? How could you make them respond to you to behave well in your class? So therefore, through planning, the behavior of the students can be anticipated. You could already see, like for example, if you show them a video, most probably, you could already have an idea how they respond, magugustuhan ba nila yun. If you have analyze your learners. Diba nga sabi sa Assure, analyze the learners. If you have analyzed the learners, when you give them something, a stimuli, you should already know how they react to that. Diba? Then, aside from that, through planning, the teacher can bring out the desirable behavior among the students. And again, that would happen if you have analyzed your learners. If you know what kind of learners you have. From there, you could plan what activities would help to bring out the desirable behavior that we want from them. Another importance of instructional planning is that it allows self-reflection for the teacher. As a personal sharing to you, when I do lesson plan, like for example, I have been teaching cookery for how many years? Diba? Cookery 7. And even though I have been teaching it for how many years, it's very rare that I use the same lesson plan. If I use the same lesson plan, there would always be modification because I have already reflected. When I use this activity, this type of class, hindi siya masyadong naging effective, hindi siya masyadong naging maganda. Then from there, on the current planning that I am doing, I would think of other ways paano siya mas may improve o hindi effective yung ganitong material or effective yung paggamit ng flashcard when I taught the cooking tools. So that is a self-reflection, and that could be done when we do proper instructional planning. And to support that, in the handout or handbook of TESOL, they cited that teacher can evaluate his or her own knowledge while planning. So when you plan, aside from what I have shared to you, when you are reading the content or the material while planning, you would observe that I am not so familiar with these words. I am not so familiar. How do I read this? How do I pronounce this? Diba? I am not so familiar with this concept. So that is a reflection that is happening if you do proper instructional planning. So therefore, through planning, you could determine your mastery of the topic, and we have to be very honest with ourselves. We do not really, there are really some topics that we do not really master, okay? And we have to do something about that, and we have to include that in our planning. And of course, through planning, most effective strategies, materials, and media can be evaluated. So yun yung sinasabi ko sa inyo kanina, that when I use flashcards in teaching cooking tools, so that is effective. So I still use it nowadays. So when I realize that having group activity in teaching a particular topic is effective, I still use it nowadays. And I just omit those things that I think would not be a contributory factor in the attainment of my instructional goals. Another importance of planning is it adds confidence to the teacher. So, ilang beses ko naman siya nabanggit kanina. Iba yung pakiramdam that when you enter a class, that you are so prepared rather than entering a class na hindi ka masyadong handa. And that could be supported. That could be supported by the citation I have searched. And according to Jones 2018, she mentioned that planning can help a teacher to be prepared and aware of the instructional process. Kasi diba, when you plan, you are preparing. And when you are prepared, diba, you are confident to face your students. Because since you have already planned, sabi nga planado na, you already know what might happen. And you are confident to handle whatever situation that might happen while you are having the instructional process. So therefore, through instructional planning, learning situations can be anticipated, which can be handled by the teacher confidently. So that is what we mean by instructional planning adds confidence to the teacher. And lastly, instructional planning contributes to student achievement. And I think most of us, this is our goal, diba? The student achievement. And we can achieve that, or we will be able to achieve that goal of student achievement through instructional planning. So how? And to support that, in the study of Monterosso 2014, she found out that there is a minimal correlation. Even though it is minimal, there is still a correlation or a relationship. Okay? There is a minimal correlation between collaborative planning and reading proficiency of the student. So in her study kasi, she's tested the effectiveness of collaborative planning, meaning more than one teacher plans the lesson to achieve the reading proficiency of the students, and she found out that there is a minimal correlation. Okay, so through planning, contents are being selected. So we only teach those which are relevant to the students, and activities are being organized. Relevant activities, suitable activities are being organized. Then learning outcomes are achieved through planning. Okay, so that is how important planning is when it comes to student achievement. So to conclude this report about the importance of planning in instruction, planning is a vital part of the teaching and learning process. It cannot be omitted. It has been always a part of it. Even though we are just giving a simple activity, if proper planning has been done, that activity will go smoothly. So planning will be beneficial to the students, to us teachers, and to the actual process itself. Okay, to the actual teaching and learning process. So the benefits that it brings is what makes it important. So those things that I have mentioned, yung providing organization, contributing to the student achievement, and the likes. So that is what makes planning important in the process of instruction. So once again, I am Miss Carla Joyce B. Navarrete, an MBA student, and that is all my report for Planning for Instruction, Importance of Planning. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have learned something.